What's up, and welcome to the Get Hoptimized podcast. My name is Chris. I am your host, and today we're going to have a conversation about retail displays, what they are, why they matter, how to use them, how to get them made. And to talk about this, we've got a couple of pros on the show, Kim and Brian from Middlestreet Graphics and Display. Together, they have years of experience in beverage signage and displays, working with a wide range of brands from the biggest players in the industry all the way down to the local breweries as well. Kim, Brian, what is up? Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us today.
Of
Thank
course.
you, Chris. I'm looking forward to this. Some fun stuff here.
Yeah, I've been stoked about this. You guys do some really awesome stuff. I love some of the things I've seen. It's like, oh man, we got to talk about this and help inform some folks. I mean, they're thinking about how to do the retail signage thing, or they're trying to think about ideas and way they can upgrade and stand out on the shelves. And who better to talk about it than you guys, you know?
Yes, we're pretty good at it. We do a lot of good stuff for a big company called Pepsi. So that's our big company, but we do tons of stuff for a lot of different breweries around the country.
Yep, as
Yeah.
well as distilleries and things too. So
Yep.
really fun. Beverage is a really fun space. We're super excited to share this conversation today. Maybe
Yeah.
Yeah,
hopefully get some ideas and ways that people can help drive sales and brand awareness.
yes, for sure. You talk about, different, beverage companies, anywhere from an energy drink to we even work with beef jerky companies as well, too, to show their displays. So it's a fun job that we have.
Well, let's jump right into it, and let's give folks a little bit of background on who y'all are, like, where you come from, what your industry experience is, who Middle Street Graphics is a little bit here, and then we can maybe start diving into some of these topics in more detail. But let's start with who the heck are you?
So I'm going to jump in real quick. I'll introduce myself. I'm Kimberly Ross. I've been in the space of printing for 36 years, barring a short stint in software and so forth. I returned to the space last year with the exciting opportunity to join Middle Street Graphics and Display to help them drive their pressure sensitive labeling side of the business. But with that, also working very collaborative with our team, like Brian, in helping the beverage space and especially food space to really look at their brand. How can we make things more efficient for them, help them keep costs down, but also making sure they're driving that awareness and growth that they're looking for, right? We all know, especially coming off CBC, that there's a lot of challenges going on in the space right now. And those folks are looking for ways to make things easier, as well as, again, continue to strike that balance of managing the day-to-day operations, but yes, also driving that growth that they need. So I'm super excited. It's a fun space to play in. I'm going to let Brian talk a little bit about the story of MGD. He does that really well.
Yeah, yeah. So Brian Beck, and I'm the senior account manager for MGD. MGD is we are a company out of Columbus, Ohio. We're actually owned by a franchise bottler called G&J Pepsi, and we do a lot of different unique stuff from your standard POS, from your channel strips to your neck hangers, to your static clings, to your floor decals, ContraVision. We even wrap vehicles as well too. And we also have the other side of things that we do a lot of in the display world. So the display world is very unique because it's where people can go out there and display their product for consumers to buy. So I always call it that wow factor. I'm walking into a store, I want to see something stand out, and I want to try their product. So we try to help them display their product in certain ways. In the beer business and the distillery business, a lot of our stuff is basically there's our core items. Our core items is a case riser, a case stacker, a brewery shipper, a distillery shipper, and we also do pull toppers as well too. And we want that consumer to look at when they walk into a giant store and say, I want to try that product. So that's what we do really good at. MGD has started as a very small company, just doing stuff just for our owners, G&J Pepsi. And from there, we grew it from a little shop of 15, it was about 1,500 square foot, and now we're at about 112,000 square foot building. We're a very good at what we do, and we do a lot of the digital print. So we're very cost effective, and we can get stuff done fast as well. So that's what we're really good at as well.
Yeah, and I think it lets us bring the vision of the brand to life from the standpoint of not only having our in-house design and structure folks there to help with the creative side, but also that ability, especially with our digital printing, to print, 1200 by 1200 dot per inch, which is super fine, as well as our unique laser die cutting. So I think that's important in the space, is really helping brands bring their life, bring their brand to life.
And I'd like to talk about that too. I mean, the good thing about our company is we have a graphic design team. We have a structural design team. So when people come to us, we can help them in many ways, from us building a nice structure for us to show them. And then after that, we can go to our graphic pre-press team, and they can throw the graphics on there as well too. So it's very, very unique. We have a really good team that can do that and make that display really pop out.
If you can print it, you guys do it. It sounds like.
Yeah, pretty much.
Exactly.
There's some things I bring, and they're like, wow, where did you get that at? But we're going to try it. We'll try our best for it.
Nice, nice. So you guys have seen all kinds of stuff, or have worked on all kinds of stuff with printing. And to kind of put some context around this, maybe you guys use terms like, pull toppers and, case stands stuff and that kind of stuff. Can you give me like what does this actually mean, right? Like what does this, look like, or to put some context around maybe folks that have seen this stuff and didn't really know what that was. In general, we're talking about stuff that goes like in retail environments. You've probably seen these things like, tanks or trucks or whatever built out of this, but there's all sorts of things in between there. You have some like contextual examples to help us visualize what we're talking about.
Yeah, let's just talk about our simple case riser. It's sits on a floor about 20 inches up, and you can put about anywhere between 5 and 6 cases of beer on there. And it's good ways you can display those in certain areas of grocery stores. You can put it in the deli area. You can put, of course, in the beer area. You can also put it closer to the meat department. I mean, the nice thing about case risers, they're small enough where you can display that really nice, 5 cases of beer as well. Our brewery shipper, well, you can display it where you can put 2 cases on each shelf. It's very nice to display it. And you can also do 6 packs. You can also do 16 ounce. You can do 4 packs. You can do all different things when you really want to merchandise your product.
Got it. And I've seen this stuff, right? And some of it's so cool, like you can get really creative with shapes and sizes. I mean, Kim, you've talked to me about, like Indy cars that people can sit in and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, that's the beauty of being able to have that on-premise team to really collaborate and bring again the brewery team's ideas to play. So we did a really cool Indy car that was just featured at the 500 this year. I'm sure you all may have heard of that little race that goes on annually. And we've done some really cool things. Like Brian was really instrumental working with the team for a Mountain Dew project that just did a really cool Jeep that it's a Jeep with a pallet of product inside of it. It's got kayaks on the top, all that kind of great stuff. So not only is it just a really fun, cool, eye-catching display, but people want to take their pictures with stuff like that too, right? They think it's really slick. Or how can we do something like that? So again, it gets the consumer to be like, hey, wow, what's that? And it gets you to draw that product off the shelf, right? Or off the pallet or skid or the chipper or whatever it is that it's housed in. So it's again another way to draw the eye and get the consumer to buy your product. To Brian's point a little bit ago about having a display, you can put a display in your actual brewery room and say, hey, by the way, I heard you say you really like that IPA that we have. Would you like to grab a 4 pack of that? I heard you say you were also going to the beach this weekend, or you're going on an adventure, right? Yeah, that sounds like a really great idea. So it's another way to build and boast, not only brand awareness, but also to get people to actually take the product home with them too. So
Yeah, and
sales.
you talk about our 4 core things that we always do, but there's just like you talk about the Jeep. I had a brewery come to me and say, you know what, Brian, we're doing a fun thing for a big golf tournament. And I said, okay, what do you want to do? Like, build us a golf cart. Okay. Well, how do you want to display that golf cart? Well, I want to put my cases. I have a pallet spanner that's 40 by 48. I want to build a golf cart around it, and I want to display it to be, 4 cases wide and 8 cases tall. Okay, let's go back into my structure team and let's develop it. So we go back there and we develop a golf cart, and it really looks like a golf cart too. And it's so fun because once that beer starts getting down, you'll see people go in there and act like they're driving a golf cart. So it's kind of fun, just different fun ideas. We also do like standees as well. Big standees, like I'm working on a standee right now for like a professional wrestler, that is in the brewery business, and they want to show like that Hulk Hogan look, So it's really cool. Good, really cool displays that we can really, like I say, the wow factor.
Yeah. And it makes me think like, if you're a brand and you're like, okay, we are being distributed, when do we think about doing something creative like this with displays? Is there like tiered system where it's like, all right, maybe we step to this level and we do something that's, maybe more of just like a riser versus like, okay, let's build a whole golf cart or something like that. Like, when do you make the decision, or do you have any advice on when you make the decision for doing something and then how much of it you do?
That's a great question. We have some brewers that are just smaller brewers that might be just self-distributing themselves. So they don't have the big merchandisers like a big distributor has, where they can go out there and set the product up. So I always ask that question to brewers is, okay, are you self-distributing? Are you using big distributors? That type of stuff. If they're self-distributed, I want to make it real small so they can put something up in 5 to 10 minutes, like a shipper, merchandiser, a case riser, a case stacker, and a pole topper. Okay. If they are more on the lines where they have distributors and they have those merchandisers that can go out and build a Jeep, build a golf cart, those type of things where it takes a little bit of time in a big display and where they have to also, make sure that's filled up all the time too. So it all depends on if it's a smaller brewer, large brewer, medium-sized brewer. I always ask that question is, how do you want to put this up?
Hmm.
And kind of like, what's your goal, right? So my goal is I'm trying to get my beer into a local retailer, right? Well, they're telling me that they don't have room on their shelf for my product. Well, Mr. Retailer, if I bring you a case stacker and I fill it with product and it sells sufficiently for you, would you provide me a space on your shelf? It's another great way to get your foot in the door with a retailer.
Yes.
You make me think like, is this a tool in the toolbox for creating more value with the retailer? Because I mean, it's hard. Distribution's tough. Wholesale's tough right now. You're competing for shelf space with all sorts of different products, whether you're beer or just spirits or RTD or whatever. Can you use this as like ammo to be like, look, we're going to build this really cool display and we're going to help stand out and it's going to help move product? Is that the argument you're making there that you can?
Yeah, not only for the brewery selling more product, but also for that retailer, right? So the more that sells off that shipper or off the shelf, the more that particular retailer is making as well too, right? So it's a win-win for both.
Yes,
Got
for
it.
sure.
You know, um, Everybody's doing wild stuff. I go to Smith's every weekend, right, to buy groceries, and there's always something new and different out there. Do you have any advice or tips or a strategy for like, all right, how do you make something that really does stand out and is not going to be just another one of these things and gets caught up in the noise?
It all depends on the space, Chris. A lot of times, let's face, like you said, there's a lot of beer companies out there. You got your bigger ones, the ones that will get that space. Your Coors Miller, your the Budweiser, all that will get that space. Now you have to go to that store and try to sell your story. Okay, this beer is moving. This is what we want to do with it. We want to make a cool pole topper that's not going to take too much up space. And I want it to really advertise my product to help you sell it as well. I'll sell more to you as well.
So situationally, you got to look at
Mhm.
the space, what you've got, and do you take into fact like what others are doing in that spot and saying, look, what are the competitors doing, and what can we do differently?
Yes, I do a lot of market tours, lots of market tours. I travel a lot. So, I go to any store I can go to and take pictures and stuff like that. Believe it or not, my wife won't even shop with me anymore because she does not want to shop with me because I go in the store and I look at it and I look at it and go, wow, that's cool. Why can't we do something like that? Or wait, they got that much space. We could get more space. Let's do another thing, So it's
I
kind
was
of
going to
funny.
ask, like, are you one
Yeah.
of those, you're like seeing stuff, you're like, that's a cool idea.
Oh yeah. I mean, this thing right here, this camera right here that I have on my phone has lots of pictures of cool displays, and I go everywhere with it just to take pictures and get ideas. You walk into Total Wines, and sometimes you walk in these Total Wine stores, you're like, wow, they got the best, displays on a RTD or a, you know, distillery, or beer company. It's just amazing in how they do it. And, they can do it so good in those type of stores.
Yeah, to that point too, one of the other things is what draws the consumer's eye to buy something or pull a product off a shelf, right? So there's a lot of trends going on right now, a lot of things that are super trendy and come and go. But one thing there is kind of some things to be said to be tried and true to color schemes and other things, and in employing different materials, whether it's in the display itself, whether it's in the label or creating an interactive experience. So there are a lot of ways that you can really set yourself apart without following crazy trends either, too, right?
Well, I wanted to ask you about that too, and you guys are so involved in this, and you've probably seen things evolve, over the years. What is going on in the future with these things? Because we've got like cool technology now that we can do. There's printing technology that's different. There's, interactive technology. Is how much of that is impacting this world, and what does the future look like for, you know, retail displays like this? What are we going to see in the next coming years?
There's different, that's a great question because there's different stores. Some stores will not, they don't want the metal displays. They don't want that, metal display where if it breaks, sometimes you walk into uh, up here, let's say you say a Kroger store, you know, and you walk in the metal display, you're like, oh my, that's already busted. Then you walk
Mm.
behind the store and it's sitting out in the store outside the buildings because they can't recycle it. You
Yeah.
know, that's the thing, and nice part about corrugate, once it breaks down, you can boom, break it down, put it in a nice recyclable area as well too. So it's a lot of cool
Sustainability.
things about that. I mean, that's one feature that I think where we're at a stage is I think we're doing really well at that smaller concept, low cost, that type of thing, where it's not a big, wooden display that's going to cost that customer $200 to $300, or a metal display is going to cost $200 to $400. We're more in that smaller range where they can afford to buy a bunch of these and see if they work, and they're
That
working.
was another question I had too, was like, with breweries in general, cost is always a factor, right? And doing something that's cost effective and seeing some of these things, is my first thought when I see this, like, oh, it must be expensive to get that done. You're saying that there are cost effective ways to do this, though.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, I mean, let's just take, for instance, a case riser. I mean, a case riser depends how many you buy and all that. It can cost you, $18 or $22. And
Oh,
they
wow.
can try it. And the nice part is we are digital, where we don't have that setup fee, we don't have that cutting die and all that kind of stuff, where we can make it reasonable for you. So, okay, you know what? Let's give me 50 of these. Let's try 50 of these and see if they work. And if they start working, then they go, oh my, let's buy a shipper. Let's buy 50 of those. If that works, let's buy a pole topper goes with it. So it's a cool thing. And then, you talk about we're one shop. Kim does all the labels. So if you want to get labels, if you want to do a channel strip, if you want to do neck hangers,
Or a soap
um,
wobbler, right?
yeah,
Decapitant.
the wobblers, the aisle interrupters, anything that can grab that attention. That's the good thing about our company, is because we can actually go out there and do about everything from the POS to the displays.
That has to be advantageous just from an operations perspective. Speaking from my experience, once we get integrated with a brand, we have like the logo files, we have like a really good flavor for what this brand is, how they communicate, and that really makes us better at communicating that brand in marketing. Similar with what you guys do. Once you're familiar and working, it's like, oh yeah, we know what is going to look good, we can turn this into a display, or we're doing labels over here, or vice versa. familiarity plays, I imagine.
Yeah, and it helps you bring that across all aspects of the business, right? So it's from Brian's point, from the label concept and design all the way through, the shipper or the pull display and all those kind of things, right? So it's color consistency, it's brand awareness, it's also that sustainability. And then the other things that come into play is, we know it costs a brewery X number of dollars every time they cut a purchase order. So if I'm going to 20 vendors, think about what that cost is versus I'm going to 2 or 3 vendors
Mhm.
for those things I need. So that vendor then becomes familiar with your brand and they're able to make really great ideas and understand, okay, here's your 1 year, 3 or 5 year goal. Here's the things you would put in play to Brian's point that you start with a case riser and you move into those other types of displays and things that are bigger, better, whatever, as your budget and other things afford you that. So
Yeah, Chris,
things about
you
building
bring up
relationships.
you bring up a great point. All the brewers are they're watching their cost. And nice thing is, like Kim said, you cut one PO. Also, shipping is ridiculous right now, as we all know. And if we can ship from one location to that location or to that distributor, it's a lot better where we can pack it all and say, all right, here's one shipping charge for everything.
In time, I always like think about that. It's like, if you have multiple vendors you're working with, that is a 15 to 30-minute meeting at least you've got to have with these folks and emails back and forth. And all of that eats into your limited amount of time you have every week, every day. And communicating with one source cuts down on time, right?
Yes, for sure. Yeah,
I
it's
want to come.
it's timing, and as you know too, I mean, a lot of you might have a person that's brewing the beer back there that also is coming out and merchandising after they get done brewing the beer, and they might be driving that van to that store, where they can pack it all in one too as well.
I didn't even think about that. You're right. You're saving time down channel with this stuff.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this kind of is related in a way. I'll bring it in here. I wanted to come back to the eco-friendly sustainability piece with this because we think, this is product displays that are going to be used and then go away, right? So where does this stuff go in the landfill? But I'm sure you guys have thoughts on eco-friendliness with this and building stuff that is recyclable and can make everyone feel confident they're not, just dumping crap in the landfill, right?
Yeah, so a lot of those displays are recyclable. And a matter of fact, as we're building and manufacturing them, we're doing a ton of recycling. That's one of the beautiful things about these type of displays that are meant for a shorter term. They're used for 2 to 6 months or whatever it is, and then we're replacing it or we're swapping out with a new one or whatever it is. But
Mhm.
again, that recyclability and sustainability, we're not contributing to you know global warming and all those other great things, right? Because we're dumping so much trash.
Yeah.
Yeah. You did bring a great point up, Kim. Is even in our shop that has a 112,000 square foot building, we recycle tons of stuff, our waste in there as well too.
That is important,
Yes.
because this stuff does get crazy, and the more we use, the more we load up these landfills and stuff. So, I love that you guys are thinking about that. The other thought I had that I wanted to come back to is effectiveness, right? And this is the thing. It's like, yeah, anytime you ask any business person, it's like, should you spend money on this? It's like, well, I'll spend as much money as I possibly have or more if I know that it's going to work. How do you know that it works? If you invest in doing these displays and stuff, do you have any advice on making sure that this is going to pay off, or how do you measure how effective it was for brands?
Well, in the Pepsi world, of course, we talk about the Pepsi world a lot too. I mean, we have different ways that we measure it, and we know it's working, that kind of stuff. We talk about the Jeep. I think we sold over 600 Jeeps. We're still getting orders for Jeeps because they know it's working in other areas. So
Hmm.
they're getting their money back of that Jeep that costs, $350. They're getting that money back because they see that product's moving it because people are going up. Even if you're not even a Mountain Dew drinker, Chris, they're still trying it because they think it's a cool display, you
Yeah.
know, and the I always go back to, I always ask the question to all the people that I talk to is, what is your budget and what do you have to spend? Let's work with your budget first. Okay. Because, you might have a budget that every year you might have, okay, I'm going to spend $100,000 on POP, POS, and labels and stuff like that. Right. Or you might have $20,000. So we're going to work with your budget as well too. We try to keep that in mind because we'll have people at the CBC stop at our booth and different local guilds and stuff like that, and we might have people stop by. You know what, Brian? I want your stuff, but I'm only so many barrels that I'm doing right now. I only want to do about $2,000. Okay, well, let's see how that works. Let's start with $2,000. Let's make some money off that, and then you come back to me in 6 to 12 months. And let's do $4,000. See if that works. That's the nice part about us.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
scaling
other
up.
thing is, sorry, Chris, let me talk over you.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
One of the other things you can do too is, there's traceability from the standpoint of tracking what your sales were prior to installing a display, whether it's in your own brewery um, or whether it's out in a retailer, right? So what were my sales prior to? Can we add a barcode to it that I know this came off of a certain display at a certain store? I mean, there's all kinds of ways that you can really do tracking to track those sales. One stat I heard recently and I thought it was really kind of dumbfounding, actually. It was so amazing that those breweries who have asked their teams as somebody's getting ready to close out a tab, they're saying, "Hey, would you like to grab a 4-pack to go?" They have been able to increase their tap room sales by 40% in some instances. So just by asking a simple question, right? So there's things that you can do to really, whether it's putting a display in or upping your customer service and things like that, that all those combined make a big impact for whether it's a brewery or distillery or whomever it might be.
I think
You
that's the
talk.
piece that I'm like is important, right? Is you have to measure this stuff, and the key kind of recap some of the points you made was like, I love the barcode situations. Like we know these barcodes are in these displays. Let's measure the pull through on those barcodes. But like, would you advise like compare? Like, would you say, all right, let's say you've got a dozen stores that you're in, 6 of them get the cool display, 6 of them don't. Let's look at pull through versus um, it's about trackability there too, right? That's kind of the idea we're talking about here is measure what happened before display, during display, after display,
Yeah, and what type of
non-display
display?
versus, yeah,
You're,
all of it,
you
right?
a case riser versus, maybe I put case risers out, but Brian in his section where he's doing the merchandising, he put, a riser stacker in or whatever it might be, or added a pull sign, right? And gosh, he's seeing 20% more than what I am just using a case riser. So there's some great things to be said for
You know,
ensuring you're putting some traceability in.
Chris, I've even did shippers for people to sell their hats on in the craft rooms, sell their T-shirts, that kind of stuff. So
Hmm.
they're using a multi-purpose as well too. So
Yeah,
it's a you walk in. Let's face it. I know I'm guilty. I probably have 100 hats of different breweries and T-shirts because that's what I like to do. I like to go in a brewery, and if their beer is great, guess what? I'm probably walking out with a hat and T-shirt as well.
totally, totally. Um, I had another question in my mind about this. I was going to ask you guys your opinion on the digital connection with this stuff because we're seeing more of it with the QR codes to like splash page, opt in, enter contest, win this cooler, win the golf bag, this kind of stuff. Do you have any opinions on the effectiveness of that? I'm sure that this is where it starts to blend into, you guys do the printing portion of this, the display and digital end of it's a little bit different, but curious your thoughts. Does that stuff work? Do you have a thought on it?
So we have some programs that we call say an evergreen shipper, where it's a standard shipper that they're putting it on there, and the header's removable. Okay.
Hmm.
So for example, let's face it, they may have a soccer game, a local soccer team that they're sponsoring. They might give tickets out. Well, that might go for 3 weeks. QR code, scan it, win your tickets. Then guess what? They want to change that header out. They take the header out, and then they want to put back their evergreen header. Well, guess what? It's coming up to Oktoberfest. Let's change our header out to our Oktoberfest beer. Oh, guess what? Now it's the holiday season. Let's change the header out. Let's make it a Christmas ale. Let's make it the holiday season Christmas. Oh, guess what? Now it's come summertime. So let's change that out, the header. So it's all an evergreen shipper, right?
Hmm.
But the header's changing out as well, too. And people call us all the time and say, these shippers are working great. We want some more headers. All right, no problem. Send me an order for headers, to
Nice.
change up the season.
Yeah. And look at what the talking label by scanning a QR code on 19 Crimes, for example, has done for their product, right? how much more wine do you think they sold because people love to grab their phone, hit the QR code, and the label talks to them?
Oh wow,
You
tell
know?
me about this talking label.
Yeah, I wish
What
I
do you
had one in front of me actually to show you because it's really slick. So everybody, your assignment after this is to go to the grocery or to your convenience store or Total Wine or wherever it is, grab a bottle of wine. I want you to scan the QR code and watch the video that goes with it. So a talking label can give you information about a story, right? It's a story about how 19 crimes came to be, and all these different, folks that the criminal. I think they're all criminals if I recall correctly, and the story behind the wine that is on that label is on. So making it something interactive really can pull people in, and it's word of mouth, right? So I just told how many people through this podcast to go look at 19 crimes, and I bet you there's a few bottles of wine going to be sold because of that, right? So, but just thinking outside the box, something as simple as adding a QR code that drives people to whether it's I make this amazing bourbon and it's a recipe gallery, right? That I scan the barcode to. Or to Brian's point, on that shipper, I change that evergreen, header out and it tells me about the event. And not only does it tell me about the event, it takes me to the website so I can register for that event or buy a ticket, right? So those are ways you really can cost effectively, again, get people involved in your brand and your products and things and other community events.
I love the concept because we talked about trackability before, and as soon as somebody uses that QR code, we now have a track. Like we know that URL only exists because it's connected to that QR code. If you've got a video, you can monitor like depth of view in there and watch. Did people watch 10 seconds, 30 seconds, the full minute? What actions take place after that video or on that page? Did they sign up for the contest? Did they buy the product? Did they get the coupon code or whatever it is for the retail spot? um, there's so much trackability there too, which just adds to this, right?
Yes, that's for sure.
Yeah, that and even storytelling, right? So storytelling is amazing too. Sorry, Brian.
No, it's as we all talk, it's branding. Get your name out there somehow. I mean, we all know how effective social media is. So if you can QR code it and get that person to your brewery or get that person to your Smith's or Kroger or wherever you're going to shop at and buy more product.
You mentioned branding, and I'm curious, do you ever have situations where somebody comes to you that doesn't really have a fleshed out brand, and you guys make the advice of saying, look, we should think about this a little bit more before we put something behind this? Or is it not quite there? I mean, branding is so much part of this, like you have to have something that looks good, that stands out, or do you not make that recommendation?
You know what, Chris? Most of your brewers and distilleries, they have the best branding. That's
Nice.
one thing they enjoy. They enjoy their
They
brand.
sell it.
Yeah. So a lot of times they come to us and say, "Here's what we have, and this is what we want to do." And we'll maybe, we'll give it a little tweak there and there, and maybe say, "What do you think?" When we show them a rendering or something like that, or an art file, and maybe we switch it over here. Okay, we like that. But one thing I will say, what I enjoy about my job the most is all the different brands that I see. When CBC and people come up to our booth at CBC or whatever conference we're at, and they start talking about the case risers, shippers, and all that, and I start seeing their hats, their logos, and all that kind of stuff, I get excited about it because I know we can make that brand even pop even more off our product as well.
You got the good legs. I was wrong with it. Yeah, go ahead, Kim.
Yeah, and I was just gonna, it can be as simple as taking the base stock that the label's manufactured on from a white BOPP to a silver, which provides you the ability to leverage using white ink, which there are a fair amount of manufacturers out there like Middlestreet that can do that, but there are a lot that can't. So leveraging the white ink to create the concept between an opaque image and where it's going to stand up and be metallic and flash and grab your eye, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basic things like that take a really great brand or logo and just make it pop, to Brian's point.
So, if you're listening to this or thinking about getting something made and starting to work with a printer, what do you guys think are the key things to think about if you're shopping around and trying to find somebody to work with? What should you be looking for in a printer, basically?
I always say when you look at a printer and stuff like that, and we know there's so many out there. We know that there's you go on Google and you press a case riser, you'll probably pull up all kinds of different things. What I always like to say is I think we're really good at taking care of our customer base, also helping them with their cost effective, like I talked to you about before, saying, okay, I have this budget to spend, and I always try to find the right thing for that customer. That customer might not be able to afford a brewery shipper that's $60, $80, but they can afford that case riser or that case stacker. So I try to coach them and help them out with their budget as well too. I mean, and also another thing is we're digital. I mean, let's face it, we're digital print, we're quick. We've got a quick turnaround. We've got a great art team, a great structure team, and a great production team as well.
So go ahead, Kim. You're going to say
Yeah, I
something?
was just going to say leveraging, a provider who wants to know and understand your business. They're not a one and done looking for just taking an order, right? So I want to understand what your business is, what are your goals long term, and how do we take you from the state you are in today to where you want to be at that 5-year point, right? So it's investing in and working with a vendor who wants to invest in your business, so to speak, from that perspective to help you drive that success. To Brian's point, we can take a high resolution PDF today and print labels tomorrow, right? So that's the beauty of really leveraging the reinvestment that our company has done in ensuring we have state-of-the-art equipment to meet those expectations that drive the amazing visions you have, but also, to Brian's point, keeping that price down too.
Yeah.
So partnering with vendors like that is where it's at.
What are
we want partners. That's what we want.
Exactly. Not a one and done. We're not looking for orders. We're looking for partnership.
That's important. Look for the partner. Look for somebody who's going to work with you. And transparency too. You guys seem like you're very transparent about your entire process and what goes into it. And part of that is price. And it's not necessarily the price per this particular item or whatever it is, but there's probably costs along the way that you have to think about, whether it's design or setup or print and all that, shipping, all that things. I mean, what are those points, to consider in terms of cost with retail stuff?
So go ahead, Brian.
Go ahead. You're good.
No, I was just going to say to your point a minute ago, Chris, you in the past, it was negatives and plates and all those things, right? So you had a crazy setup cost. Today, it's print from a PDF file. It's looking at what is, to Brian's point a minute ago, about design costs, right? What's it cost me to do that? Do I have to partner with somebody over here to do designs? And do they know how to design a shipper or a case riser stack or whatever it is, or labels? Because then you get into the point where somebody who doesn't maybe have experience in that arena, they send you down an avenue where it ends up costing you more money versus working with a vendor that has that experience and knowledge on staff. So you got to look at some of those hidden costs, right? And those shipping costs too. We need to understand, is it better for us to knock the display down, so to speak, and give you a really great step-by-step instruction with a QR code how to set that up? Or is it better to ship it fully, the display fully set up and things like that? So we're looking at all aspects of that business that we're doing with you to ensure we're helping you keep costs down, but without sacrificing the quality and the product that you're looking to have. So those are some things that I would look for in a vendor if I'm looking for a partner. And again, somebody who doesn't want to just take my order, they want to work with me and have a long-term relationship as a supplier. Whether it's buying displays or whether you're buying, tchotchke to pass out, at an event.
Yeah. Chris, I say, we like to say we're a one-stop shop. You want your labels? Got it. You want your channel strips? Got it. You want your static cleans? Got it. You want your merchandisers? Got it. You want your big displays? Got it. You want your vinyl banner? Got it. You want your trailer wrap? Got it. So it's a one-stop, very easy thing. Open that PO and come to us and we can help you out.
Well, let's talk about that. If somebody is interested in getting in touch with Middlestreet Graphics and Display, where the heck do they go? How do they get in touch with you guys? What's your website? How do they get in touch if they're interested?
Our website's very good to look at too as well. It's improving every day. We have a lot of more improvement on it, but we are doing that. We are getting stronger on social media as well too. You also, I'm the kind of guy that everybody has my cell number because that's the way to get a hold of me. I'm on the road. Call me. I can help you out. That's always good. I can also, if you want to, we can send you a little QR code of how to get a hold of us too. We both have links for that as well too, that can help you. And then I have a very good doc that we can just show everybody what we're capable of doing as well too.
Yeah, I would love to share that. We'll add your guys' contact info, links and stuff like that in the show notes. And yeah, I think the website is a great place to go to look at some of these examples. We've talked about these different concepts of like the case riser and some of these cool display concepts. And your website has this stuff. You can see some great examples there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, another thing about our website too that I like too is there's a place where you can go on it and there's where you can press a button and it goes down and it shows you the retail area. So if you're in retail, if you're in the C store, or if you're in gas stations, anything like that, you just press the button and it can show you where it's at too. It's very nice to see, especially for a new person that's finally got that distributor or finally got that where they're getting their beer out to different places instead of their craft rooms.
Right. Kim, you look like you were wanting to add something.
Yeah, I was just going to say one other great idea that I think really has worked conceptually when I work with customers and they're looking for ideas and concepts, not only sharing things and sending them to the website and so forth, but is telling them to take a little homework and go to the grocery, go to the convenience store, send me a photo of things that you like, and also send me photos of things you definitely don't like. So that gives our team the knowledge and vision that, okay, these are kind of the things that I like, the look and feel of. Here's things I don't like so much. That takes us down a much more defined path to better serve you. And also, again, saving you money because we're not throwing something up there and you're like, yeah, I like that, but, it gives us more chance to come out of the gate going, it's exactly what I'm looking for. Can you just tweak this a little tiny bit versus let's start all over, right? So take your homework, take your phone, as Brian says. Brian is never without his phone. He's attached to it, I think. Go to the store, take some photos and share them. Share them with your vendor.
I love what you said there about sending me stuff that you don't like too. It's like I don't want to give you something you don't like. So tell me what you
Important.
don't like, and
Yeah, if you
let's.
hate something, yeah, that's a strong word. I don't like to use that very often. But if there's something you really are dead set against that you don't really like, tell me what it is you don't like about it and help me understand so that I can make sure that I go a different direction, right?
Go to the market, do market tours, take pictures, send it to me. Hopefully it's our product. That means we're doing our job, right? That's what I always say. Go. If you like some, take a picture of it. We will figure a way on how to do it.
That's
Yeah, and
right.
it doesn't have to be a brewery or distillery product. It can be to Brian's point a minute ago, it can be a Mountain Dew display,
Yeah.
right? It's the same purpose, right? Just with a different brand and different product
Yeah.
in it.
I had a THC company call me and say, "Would you like to work with us?" It's the same exact thing. You're doing slims, okay, not a problem. We can merchandise those too. So it's not just that beer or that the soda or anything like that. It's everything.
That's so cool. I mean, you guys seem like such down to earth folks, and you're really down to partner and help with these brands to help them be successful. And that speaks volumes too. It's not just sure, we'll print it, goodbye, never talk to you again. It's let's make this work for you and for us because we grow together, right? And I love that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
it's a win
It's
for everybody.
partnership. It's
Yeah.
partnership. That's for sure. I mean, not everybody. We all know they might just buy it one time. Maybe it didn't work in their market.
Yeah.
But guess what? The other person's going to buy more because it's working on their market. It's all about their distributor. It's all about their merchandisers. As we all know, it's hard to find good hard workers that really want to make that build that. I mean, I walk into stores and I see our stuff that's maybe that shelf is not tucked in. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I take the stuff off and tuck it in to make it look better. And that's, like I said earlier, that's why my wife does not shop with me because
Gosh
she's
dang
like,
it, Ryan.
I'm taking stuff off and fixing the product, fixing the shipper. Because I walked in one time and they didn't even have the base put on. And I'm like, I went to the store manager and I'm like, hey, do you have that base back there in the bag? He's like, no. He goes, what are you talking about? So I called the person. I said, get that base on there. It's gonna stand up better.
Yeah. What commitment. What a hero.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You guys
He's
are
a rock
awesome.
star.
You guys
yeah,
are both rock stars.
yeah.
I super appreciate you sharing some knowledge and expertise with us. I encourage folks to go check out Middlestreet online, reach out to Kim and Ross, or Kim and Brian, and get in touch if you guys are looking for something like this, and at least go look at the ideas. Again, thank you very much for your time today, and hopefully we can do this again. This is fun.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. Thank you for the opportunity. It means a lot for us to have this great shared conversation and kind of brainstorming, if you will, around this topic. It's important, and we're thrilled to partner up with you guys and help make things better for our beverage, companies.
Takes a village, baby. Got to do it.
Yeah,
That's right. It does
Chris,
take a village.
Chris, I do appreciate it. As Kim knows, I have been swamped this week. And I talked to this morning about this call and what we're going to do and all that. I got very excited. I'm very, very excited about this. And it made my week even better. So, and I've been really stressed out, as Kim knows. I mean, people on the thing can't see it, but there's a lot of gray hair in here. So maybe some black hair in here.
You're experienced, my friend. That's what that is. Well,
But thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. You guys have a good
Fun.
weekend.
Let's do it
Good time,
again.
and we will talk soon.
Cheers.
Thanks, Chris. Cheers.